is enough.
I want the world to be the best place for my children.
You are not alone.
We need renegades to be part of this movement, and they're the ones that are going to change the world.
Welcome back to Renegade Radio, the podcast dedicated to the dissenters of the status quo, bringing you the mindset and strategies to build a healthier, happier, and stronger family, the Renegade way.
It's so important to be a renegade.
Welcome back to another episode of What's Up Wednesday on Renegade Radio. This is Dr. Todd, your host, and today I'm very excited to bring you Dr. Vic Naumov, author of Generation Sick. His book exposes the hidden hand of power, politics, and propaganda behind America's health crisis. It's Dr. Vic's opinion, and he points out through his book that the so-called healthcare system in America was never designed to be about health, that it was in fact designed from the beginning to be about money, power, and control. The fact is, he states that your sickness, pain, and suffering keeps them in business. But it doesn't have to be that way, and that's what his book's all about, and that's what he's going to describe to you in today's show. A little bit about Dr. Vic. He's been in practice, private practice for almost 20 years, and Dr. Vic has discovered that health is an expression of the body's ability to adapt to physical, mental, and chemical stimuli accordingly. This led him to coin the term the adaptability factor. Along the way, he learned that deficiencies and toxicities are two primary factors that cause all diseases. Today, as a noted complementary healthcare practitioner and consultant, Dr. Vic focuses on teaching his clients how they can nurture nature and adapt to their highest potential. So sit back and enjoy the show as Dr. Vic pulls the curtains back on what's happening behind our healthcare systems. So, Vic, what's up?
Todd, how you doing down under over there, kid?
Yeah, real good. You know what I'm saying? I've told our
My Jersey side's coming out already, huh?
I've told our listeners a little bit about you, Vic. Can you tell us more? Not only who you are as a person, but you know how you became an author and a doctor of cause, and just kind of how you arrived at where you are today.
Well, me like you, I've been a chiropractor for almost 20 years, and as my career started moving forward, I wanted to sort of share a little bit of information that I learned over the years with a grander audience. So it was on my bucket list to write a book. So it took me about almost 5 years of research, and I ended up finishing Generation Sick, which is 360 pages. That was for sale, or actually started to be for sale on Amazon January 10th of this year. And it's been getting great feedback, and my purpose with the book was to expose the hidden hand of power behind the corrupt healthcare system here in the United States. So the book is very unique. It talks about the triune, or the trifecta, the way I call it, the power, politics, and propaganda behind the allopathic, i.e. medical model machine here in the U.S., and how, patients' pain and suffering turns to profit for them. Because, in my book, I asked my readers one question. I said, ask yourself this question. If I controlled an industry that only made a profit when people were sick, what would be my motivation to ensure that they're healthy? And the obvious answer is absolutely none, because that's a bad business plan. So, since the allopathic model used ignorance and fear as a weapon to get people to accept their system, I decided to empower the public with some information and knowledge that gives them more or less levels the playing field, and allows them to decide if they want to partake in the system or not. So power to the people has been the mantra of the book, and my purpose. So that's where we're at right now.
It's awesome, man. And as I mentioned in our pre-chat, Vic, that I'm about 10 chapters in. I was just actually flying back from a conference in Melbourne and got into the book. I'm like, finally, I got some time to dig into this, and it's brilliant. It's very well written, and obviously for Americans listening, it's very relevant. And I would say it's relevant for anybody. I'm in Australia, so some folks might get a little lost in the background of the politics of the first few chapters. But as I can see through the table of contents, we're going to be getting into some meaty things that really are just in terms of health applicable to anybody. And I want to thank you for writing the book. I can tell, you get into that. Like you said, it took you 5 years of research and writing, and you're a practitioner. To my knowledge, you're married and have kids, right? So you're a busy fella. Yeah. So write a book.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I am. Listen. My gift to my kids is that you live longer and better than I do, and for you to be able to do that, you need to have knowledge to be able to have power over your life. And the information that I expose in this book, even though you guys are Aussies down there, all the names I expose, who the players are, and I think it's something you guys can connect with. I mean, one of the main players is running for president, Hillary Clinton. And I'm going to tell you on your show, like I've told everybody else ever since the book came out, Hillary will be the next president of the United States. She has to be, because the agenda overall is the implementation of Obamacare that is due to come into full effect in January 2017. So I find it very interesting that healthcare hasn't even been brought up as a topic of discussion by either Hillary or Trump or the mainstream media here. And I think the public's going to get blindsided. They still think that their vote matters. But I think when you really start looking into things, it's about the agenda and it's not about the individual. And it's about selection and not election.
Wait a minute. Are you telling me, Dr. Vic, that the government doesn't really care about my vote? You mean they're not there for me and my family? What's going on there?
Hey, did you use a little bit of deductive reasoning to figure that out for yourself? Because listen, remember, in my book, I don't tell you anything.
That's right.
As far as telling you what to do, what do I do? The book was written in such a way to expose information and have you decide the value of that and apply it, in your own life how you see fit. I don't tell you what's right and I don't tell you what's wrong. I just give you information. So
that's right. Well, I think our listeners and anybody who reads your book is smart enough to deduce from the information what they need to do and make sound decisions based on it. Let me ask you, Vic, you've kind of touched on it already. I bet I'd know your answer, but what's driving you? So you went through the efforts to become a doctor of chiropractic and a natural health care provider to help people, and you've taken the time to write a very potent book. What's your inspiration? What drives you? Yeah.
Listen, my inspiration is very simple. It's to leave things a little bit better than I found them. I mean, you and I are members of the sickest generation known to man right now, as far as what the statistics are saying. Yeah. I was just hoping, and a gift that I wanted to give my kids is that they live longer and better than we do. You can't be empowered and make choices unless you know. See, the human being, we're very, very unique creatures. We don't know what we don't know. And the thing is, it's very, very important for somebody to just show you the light or show you a perspective that may be different. It's almost like the glass that's half empty is also half full. Okay. 8-ounce glass has 4 ounces of water in it. Is it half empty or half full? Well, it's not really the glass or the water. It's the perspective of the individual looking at it. What I wanted to do with the book was to get people to look at things in a different way. The way I see it, and I use the title Generation Sick, is that we are the sickest generation right now statistically. And I don't want that for my kids, and I don't want that for humanity moving forward, because the powers that be right now are stacking the deck against us. We need to be able to level the playing field by having us understand what the agenda is and what the motives are. When we know, we can make different decisions and different choices to help push us closer to the green than to the red. So that's my motivation.
That's excellent. And thank you for sharing that, Vic. And I have to ditto that really. And in our other interviews with folks on the show, I mean, that's it. Most everybody's that I've talked to so far is a parent or grandparent, And we're all a little bit concerned about the direction of things. And obviously, kind of selfishly, we want to make a difference for our kids and our future generations. And we want our kids to go play with other healthy, happy kids and grow up and marry healthy, happy individuals. And, the population of healthy and happy is shrinking greatly. So, we gotta push it, man. And I think anybody listening wants the same thing, right? Like we all want the same thing, but like you said, you don't know what you don't know. So that being said, if say people are getting into your book and this is, kind of a shakeup for them, right? How do they handle this information? It would be easy to, it could be kind of a little bit unnerving or maybe potentially bring someone down once the curtain's been pulled back. What do you suggest for them, or how do they kind of handle the truth, I suppose?
Well, you know what? I mean, yeah, it's a lot because Generation Sick is 360 pages. It's a lot to digest. It's, I tell people, take your time to read it. But, first of all, knowing and doing are two different things. I hope, most of the people who read the book get pissed off. Yeah. You got to be pissed off because you know what? When you got emotion and you're pissed off and now and now you find out that 95% of everything you've been taught about health is a lie. Now it motivates you to do something and it motivates you to act. So what I encourage my readers to do is, listen, it's okay. Be pissed off because emotion facilitates action, and then take action by, making different choices, because now that knowledge, people say knowledge is power. I don't agree with that. I always say that knowledge is potential power because true power is knowing something and then acting upon it. So, make different choices. Use common sense and logic. And when it comes to health, search out different modalities that nurture nature, because that's the key. I mean, the key to health and well-being is understanding A, how the body works, B, to nurture nature. All right. It's not drugs, because here's the question you have to ask yourself. If drugs were the answer and drugs brought health, all right, shouldn't people on the most drugs be the healthiest? And the fact that they're the sickest tells you what? There has to be a flaw. It has to be a flaw in the philosophy. Right? So if it doesn't make sense, then you have to look elsewhere because, if you keep on doing what you're doing, you keep on getting what you're getting. So you have nobody to blame but yourself. So Generation Sick, what it does is it pulls the curtain on the Oz of the allopathic system, the drugs and surgery and long-term hospital stays that are there for profit. Okay, and it empowers the individual to see it for what it is, and then encourages them to take different action steps for themselves and their family. It doesn't tell them what to do. It doesn't tell them what's right or what's wrong. Because if I tell you something, then I'm responsible. Okay, and the point of the book is not to make me responsible for anything. It's about restoring the power to the people and having you make those decisions. And as a result, you are responsible directly for the health or sickness of your own family. And that's what it's about.
Yeah, that's right. A bit of accountability. So you're empowering people so that they can, have the knowledge so that they can take appropriate action so they can have a better life for themselves and their family, right? Yeah, brilliant.
Isn't that what it's all about?
Yeah.
I mean, because here's the thing, Todd. If we don't do that, we're just like they are.
That's right.
Okay, you go to an allopathic doctor. What does he say to you? Well, you live your life, burning the candle on both ends. But don't worry, come to me and I'm going to treat you. Okay, and I'm going to provide, give you this medication or this surgery. Don't worry, you don't have to do anything because it's secondary and passive because of things that are done to you. What do we want? And this is me putting my chiropractic hat on. What do we want? We want people to come to us. Okay, and we want to be able to not only treat them, all right, but teach them. All right, that's sort of my motto in my office. My slogan is, we don't just treat you, we teach you. Okay, and the purpose for that is for me to empower you to understand how your body works. Okay, what it takes to be healthy, and then more importantly, what it takes to remain healthy. So I take on almost like a supportive coach role for my practice members. Okay, and based upon what their overall objective is, or, as a result of the care, my job is to help them get from A to B. My job is not to tell them what to do. Because if I tell them what to do, that disempowers them. It doesn't empower them. And when you don't empower somebody, there's no way that they can become responsible for their own health and well-being. And ultimately, if we want change, okay, and we want people to be healthy and really understand what that means, they need to be able to make different decisions with the understanding that the only key, the key to health is nurturing nature, and that's what it's about.
And you're exactly. I couldn't say it better myself, Dr. Vic. You're spot on, and I think more and more people, thank goodness, are at least open to the idea. People are starting to think differently and starting to shift, and that's why a lot of natural practitioners, chiropractors, and naturopaths. That's why we're getting attacked. We're getting attacked by the medical complex, if you will, because the public's starting to wake up, which you can't stop it. They can attack us all day long, but thanks to internet and social media and podcast, the information's out there. So to the person, to the parent who's woken up to the fact that, hey, maybe I should start looking into things myself and educate myself, because I think for you listeners, I'll ask you, Vic, how important do you think it is for people and for parents to actually take accountability to educate themselves, rather than, leave it at the hands of doctors or even, any kind of doctor, right? You should ask questions and, do your own homework. Don't just go in and, do whatever.
Well, listen, back in the day, even a generation removed, I mean, look at our parents. Our parents were indoctrinated to blindly trust the allopathic, medical person, with the belief that they really cared about our health and well-being. Well, guess what? There was no internet back then. There was no other way for us to be able to really expose their fraud. Okay. Now that you're seeing that the allopathic model, drugs and surgery, cannot bring health to our children, all right, what needs to happen now is, yes, the mom and dad do need to get educated if they want to raise healthy kids. All right, here's what it comes down to. It's like anything else. If you want to learn about something and dive all in to really understand something and become a master at it and make sure whatever you partake in comes out the best, to the best of your ability, then what you have to do is you got to be all in. You can't, there's no more blind faith or blind trust, in any way, because the system is designed not to keep you healthy. It's designed to keep you as a customer. Okay. So what you have to think about is, healthy people, do they need drugs and surgery? The answer is no. So then you have to ask yourself, if I don't want drugs and I want surgery, what else can an allopathic, i.e. medical physician, offer me? Can they do anything else?
No.
The answer is no.
Crisis and trauma, obviously, right? So for our listeners, if you've got a bone sticking out of your leg, you need medical care, right? But what you just said, Vic, was if you're healthy and if you want to stay health, right? There's no drug or surgery that's gonna grow your health, right?
Absolutely not. And you hit the nail on the head. Allopathic's place is acute trauma care, and they do a great job with that. If your arm is broken, they put you together. If you're having a heart attack or a stroke, they give you, certain medications that, to hopefully save your life. But that is very different than healthcare.
That's right.
All right. It's very different than health, because look, every drug is a poison. All right. So how do we know that? Because you can't patent a natural substance. So as a result, the body innately rejects anything that's a poison. It doesn't assimilate it. Right, because there's something that you and I understand that's called chemical affinity with something that we take ingest into our system, right? So chemical affinity can only occur with natural organic products and natural organic foods, natural organic herbs, clean water, different things like that. But But the thing is that a healthy person is a threat to the economical system of the allopathic model. So if you're healthy, you're a direct threat to the system. So they're going to attack chiropractors. They're going to attack any kind of naturopathic or homeopathic based practitioner who practices a discipline that nurtures nature. Because you're a threat. You're a threat to their bottom line. That's all.
Yeah,
it's not personal. It's only business.
That's right. It's just business. It's frustrating too because and you would know this just from your office. You see what people and families are going through, and and obviously their physicians may be very well intentioned, but that's the system that they've been educated and trained in. So you just see the path, and you just know what's possible for people, right? Like, so for our listeners, let's say that. Vic, what's possible for our patients? Let's say, maybe they have some health issues, or their kids are having health issues. What do you say to these folks in terms of, what's possible for them, for their health and for their health future, for that matter? What do you reckon?
Well, I coined the term a little over 10 years ago, called the adaptability factor. Okay, when clients come into my office, I tell them, I said, look, my job is one thing and one thing only: to help your body adapt to its highest potential on the physical, chemical, and mental plane. That's it. That's my job. All right, and that's my goal. So what is their potential? We don't know. But the beautiful thing is with my clients, if that's what they want as a service, hey, listen, let's enjoy the journey together. Let's see what your potential is. Okay, and then what I do is I explain to them that the adaptability factor that your body ends up displaying is directly correlated to your nervous system, specifically your central nervous system, your sympathetic and your parasympathetic nervous system, your vagal nerve, and everything else like that. Why is that? Because I show them on a chart that the nervous system controls and coordinates the function of all the cells and tissues of the body. And if that's something that they want, then we move forward. And if they want greater adaptability and they understand the nervous system is a prime system, then you ask them, where does it live? The nervous system lives in the spine. So when the nervous system lives in the spine, the only way to get to it is through the spine, and to check the spine to make sure brain and body can communicate accordingly. And that's all. That's all. And it's a beautiful thing to see how their body changes and continues to adapt on a physical, chemical, and mental plane. So the journey is beautiful.
It is awesome, isn't it? And so wherever anybody is, regardless of what's going on, would you agree, Vic, for the listener, that they can get their health back if they start making some different and or better choices? Yeah?
Listen, absolutely, because the body always be healthy. Regardless of what your current situation is, the body always wants to adapt at a higher level because, we have three basic planes: physical, chemical, and mental. And where you are now, and the other thing is, people think of health being a destination. What I tell my clients is health is not a destination. It's a lifestyle. Why? Because you have to think of health almost like a pendulum, constant motion. Everything is moving. The pendulum is never in one place. Sometimes it's closer to the green, sometimes it's closer to the red. Motion is life. Everything moves. The body's electric. So when you understand that your body always wants to be well because it adapts on a second-to-second basis to those three stimuli. I mean, I'm sure most of your audience and most of the public calls them stressors, but I like the term stimuli because there's sort of a negative connotation to stressor. So I like to use the term stimuli. So the greater expression of adaptability to your body, the healthier you are. And that's a whole different paradigm and understanding than what the allopathic model is offering people. So just because you don't have, just because you don't have any symptoms doesn't mean you're healthy. And just because you do have symptoms doesn't mean you're sick.
That's right.
So it's a different type of understanding. So those people who read Generation Sick and understand that health is the expression of the body's ability to adapt appropriately, if they choose to seek out chiropractic care in conjunction with nutrition or acupuncture or any other kind of modality that nurtures nature, Their body has no choice but to obey natural law and adapt at a higher level. And as a result, yes, they're healthier. That's the cool thing.
Brilliant.
It's awesome.
So in a nutshell, it's really about, whether it's, chiropractic and diet and lifestyle and other modalities, as you mentioned, it's about having the body express to its best potential. Whereas if you take a pill, that's actually the opposite, right? It's suppressive, yes?
Well, right. And when you take a pill, the body will express in a different way. Why? Because that pill is poison. It will express negativity, not only on a physical plane, but a chemical and a mental plane as well. Because it has to, because it rejects anything that's not naturally, that's naturally organic. So now you're putting a chemical, when you're taking a chemical into your body, that's a toxin, automatically you're putting a negative stimuli on the body in a chemical manner and in a physical manner. It will have to express itself also on a mental plane as well. So again, you can't get anything good out of something bad, because that directly offends natural law. And health is about understanding and obeying natural law and allowing the body to express itself to its greatest potential. 110% correct.
Beautifully said, my friend. Love it. I love this. I like this conversation. It's super fun. I hope our audience likes it as much as we do.
Listen, I'm having a great time. And you know what? Listen, when they're ready for change, and when they're ready to be responsible for themselves, and they're ready to embrace their true potential, that they don't know what that is, and I don't know what that is either, but the journey's going to be great, this is what they got to get on.
Beautiful. Dr. Vic, if you don't mind, I'm going to tweak our questions a little bit to make them a little more personal, if that's okay, just so our listeners know a little bit more about Dr. Vic, the author, and just how you might be able to help them more on a personal level. So I like to call it your renegade moment. When was it? Maybe it was years ago, but when was that moment or pivot point in your life when the lights turned on for you and you realized you had to think and do things differently? I.e., when did you go renegade?
Well, listen, you're asking me a loaded question, because I graduated at NYCC in 2000, and the day of my graduation, I had one of the professors come to me, and I'm not going to mention their names, but say to me, says, listen, I'm glad you're out of here, but I hope you fail, because we don't need renegades like you in our profession. and that was my renegade moment, because at that point, all right, I took it on as a challenge, and I've been in practice now almost 20 years. Private practice. I have no employees. I'm a one-man show. I've broken every single rule in business and practice management you can ever imagine, and I'm still here. And so I don't know where that professor is, but he labeled me a renegade. I embrace that because I do things based upon what my gut tells me, and I listen to myself more so than I listen to other people. And I've been blessed and fortunate enough to attract a certain clientele to my practice, a certain kind of families to my practice, and I enjoy doing things differently. And for me, my renegade moment was the day I graduated chiropractic school.
Well, you literally labeled as a renegade. Well, good on you. Good for you.
I loved it. And I still enjoy it. I still do things. I mean, gosh, read my book. I mean, you'll see. I'm telling you everything nobody else ever had the guts to tell you. I name names. Here's the thing, Todd. I name names. Everybody else tells you about everything else, but I'm giving you the nuts and bolts, because the way I see it is nobody else had the courage to do it, and everybody else was too worried about what anybody else would think about them, either personally or publicly. And to me, I don't care about that, because it's not about me. It's about the future, and it's about the next generation. And that's to me is the important thing.
And that's huge. And I think you just made a very important point, Vic. And you mentioned having the courage to be different and to say different and to make different choices, a la renegade. So that being said, for the average, quote unquote, average listener here, maybe they're not a doctor or what have you, but how important another loaded question, how important do you think it is for for your everyday people to be renegades in order to achieve health and the life they want for their family? I mean, can they just do mainstream and what's acceptable, or do they actually need to be a renegade?
Listen, you know what? Again, it's not my place to make a choice for them. Look, there's the world. Everything is duality. Things are positive and negative. If they're not a renegade, they're a slave. All right. So you can either be a slave by choice, or you can be a renegade, i.e., a free man or a freedom fighter or whatever you want to look at it. All right, and you don't have to get in there and lock and load. You know, you vote with your lifestyle, and you support and you engage and participate in things you know, that you're supportive of and that help nurture nature and help you not only get healthy but be healthy. Because at the end of the day, Todd, health is wealth. All right. I tell my clients, I said, look, there's a big difference between being wealthy and being rich. The example I use is, you know, ask Steve Jobs about the difference between being, you know, wealthy and being rich. He was a guy that was rich but wasn't wealthy. Why? Because he's dead. And by the time he figured that, you know, health was a priority, by then it was too late, because you and I are both aware, you know, are familiar with something called limitation of matter. And, you know, that's a perfect example of a guy that was rich and wasn't wealthy. And, you know, when the public understands and embraces the fact that when you have health, you have everything, you know, then their life will change, and it will give them the courage to be renegades and the courage to be free and to understand what's truly important in their lives. Not only for themselves, but for their families and for their kids and for the legacy. You know, they have to ask themselves, what's the legacy I'm going to leave? All right, am I going to leave it better than I found it? If the answer is yes, then you better start teaching people things that they don't know.
That's right.
And that's what it's about.
And do you have advice for people? So, you know, let's just say Sally, who's, you know, 28-year-old mother of two, is listening, and she's thinking, I'd like to make different choices, but you know what? As soon as I, quote, go renegade and I start doing things differently and thinking differently, Sally's going to get hit by her friends and her family and her mother-in-law that she's not doing things right. What would you say to Sally? You know, like, we need some thick skin, right? Like, hence the rhino.
Listen. We do. I mean, or she does. It's about her kids. You know, the thing is that when your heart tells you it's right, and nature, you know, gave you the gift of life, and you want to be able to make sure to maximize that expression, as we talked about. I mean, how far are you willing to go to protect and defend your kids? That's what it comes down to. And you know, I believe moms are not probably, I'm going to say this correctly, are the toughest creatures on the planet. And when they understand the facts, okay, I don't like the word truth. I like the word facts. Yeah. When they understand the facts and the system is rigged to poison and destroy your children, when you understand that and you own it, it doesn't matter what anybody says about you or does to you or anything else, because what you're going to do is you're going to put your feet in the sand and you're going to stay steadfast and you're going to do whatever it takes to make sure to protect your kids and make sure that they understand what the facts are about health, and that they have the best chance to live long, healthy, prosperous lives. And that's what it's about. When you choose to have kids, it's no longer about us, it's about them. And, you know, so Sally, you know what? I think when Sally finds that courage, listen, you can never win against a entrenched mother. Never. So I'm not worried about Sally. I'm worried about all the rest of those moms who want to, you know, go along and get along, and who sacrifice their kids to the system. Those are the ones I'm worried about, because you know what? Those kids don't have a choice. Mom and dad do.
That's right.
So, you know, that's what I'm worried about.
Well, thank you for just stating the way you just stated things, Vic. You just like you just turned it to an 11, man. Yeah, really. I mean, it's a bit in our face, but it's like, you know, the system is rigged unless you take total control and become informed with the facts. The odds aren't very good for a future of health, happiness, prosperity. Because as you just mentioned, health's our greatest asset. You lose that, and nothing else really matters, does it? You know, like
No, it doesn't. And like I said, if you don't believe me, ask Steve Jobs. All right, one of the richest men in the world that couldn't even afford to buy himself another day. So he was rich, but he wasn't wealthy.
that's right.
Understand the power of words. Okay, they even play on words with us, trying to convince us that we have a healthcare system. We don't we don't have a healthcare system. Healthy people don't need any care. You know what we have? We have a sickness care system. All right, so let's call it
What
it is,
Yep.
and let's tell people the truth or the facts, and allow them to make the decision that is best suited for themselves and their family. Let them be responsible. They don't need big brother or big sister to take care of anybody.
That's
We
right.
as individuals are responsible for ourselves. And if they're not going to give us that power that we're looking for, if they're not going to give it back to us, we're going to take it. We're going to take it. And how do we take it? We take it very simply by learning things they don't want us to know. I mean, the allopathic model has used ignorance and fear to enslave us, to get us to be able to accept their formal modality as a form of healthcare. Hey, not on my watch, okay? Because that's all bullshit and it's a lie. All right. The bottom line is that when people see what the truth is after that curtain is pulled, just like the Wizard of Oz was this great, spectacular person that you have these characters that needed to go there and kiss the ring and then get the approval to go back. Guess what? And all of a sudden you had a little puppy who decided to pull a curtain and then expose the whole lie. Guess what? My book, Generation Sick, pulls the curtain. So I appreciate the fact that you're giving me a platform to be able to sort of share some information and ultimately restore the power to the people by sharing with them factual things that they may not have known before and encouraging them to make different choices and different decisions for themselves and their families moving forward. That's what it's about. It's not about you or me, Todd. It's about them.
Agreed, man. My wife and I created this podcast out of, I don't know how many conversations at night, coming home from the office or just coming back from, like the shopping mall or something, and just our minds blown as to what we see and what we hear and what can we do and how do we reach more people. And so you nailed it, man. I mean, we've just got to get the message out there. And I appreciate in return the fact that you're taking time out. I believe it's Sunday, Sunday evening, Sunday afternoon where you are, and you're taking time out to get the message out. A very important, if not the most important message that people need to know. I mean, we can talk about politics, we can talk about, anything else, but what's more important than you and your kids' health and health future? I can't think of anything more important than that.
Well, listen, I appreciate that, Todd. And you know what? It's all about the legacy. All right. Are you willing to leave it a little bit better than you found it? All right. And the thing is when you understand you and I represent something bigger than ourselves, then it's easy for me to get on, this conversation with you. I mean, yeah, it's Sunday here. Actually, it's football Sunday, and which is great in my house. So, but listen, I always love the opportunity to be able to discuss the current state of affairs when it comes to health and well-being in this, not only in this country, but in this world. Because, we're all under the same umbrella. And you know what we need to do is we need to understand that the healthcare system is not what it appears to be. And we also need to understand that health is wealth, and that we need to be able to seek out ways for us to be able to nurture nature. And chiropractic is on the forefront. I know these guys are giving you guys a hard time, but anything that nurtures nature is a threat to the financial stability of the system. And you know what? They're knowing that we know. They know that we know, and that's why they're doing what they have to do. They have to. But you know what? I have faith and confidence in the public because there's more of us than it is of them.
That's right.
So if the public chooses to go down a naturopathic-based model for health, I don't believe any government can stop them.
No.
Because there's just not enough of them. So the thing is, people need to find the courage, and they need to find the understanding and those like-minded individuals and come together as opposed to staying divided. Look, our profession, the same thing too, Todd. Chiropractic has been sort of treading water for so many years. Why? Because we're also separated. We're separated by labels and different things like that. If we're a unified front, it doesn't matter what kind of discipline you are, nobody can stop you.
That's right.
And that is what I like to see moving forward.
I'm getting all excited and amped. I'm going to get off this podcast and start walking the streets and talking to people. Well, listen, Vic, we've come to the point in our show I like to refer to as the Renegade Wrap Up. And we could talk all day, I'm sure, but this is
listen, hopefully we can do another one of these. So
we can.
I'm having a great time. So this is great.
Well, let me ask you. So regarding health, happiness, prosperity, and prosperity again doesn't necessarily mean what you call it, not necessarily financial, but just wealth versus rich, right? Health, happiness, or prosperity. What is the best advice that you've ever received, and how do you think our listeners could apply that to their lives?
Best advice I ever received was listen to your gut. Trust yourself. Be responsible for yourself. And at the end of the day, life's about the most simple things. It's about being healthy, being happy, and being at peace. And that's an inside-out process, just like health is an inside-out process and expression of, in that kind of manner. It's not an outside-in process like we've all been lied to believe. So my greatest advice to anybody is that at the end of the day, you're going to come to a point in your life where everything that you've been taught that was important isn't, and everything that you neglected is. And it starts with you. It's about health. It's about happiness, personal happiness, and ultimately it's about peace. Because when you're in that place, everybody you come in contact to, the experiences are greater, the good things in life are sweeter, and the bad things in life that we all experience aren't so bad. But it's all about you. Again, be the renegade. Be everything you're afraid to become. Become that. Find a way to listen to yourself. Find a way to trust yourself. And find a way to love yourself. Wow. And at that point, that's how you move forward. Beautiful. That's the greatest advice I ever got.
That was beautifully stated, Vic. Beautifully stated. Wow, that was awesome. And just to kind of parlay from what your advice there is, some resource. So if people are thinking, yes, right, I want to learn more, I want to be more, I got to go this direction. What resources would you recommend for people? Let's start with your book. How can people get a copy of your book?
Well, they can go to Amazon.com. I know you guys are in Australia. They ship there. Generation Sick, just type, go to Amazon.com, type Generation Sick in the search bar. It'll come up there. It's the red book with the baby on it. It's red, white, and blue. It's also available in Kindle. That is your number one resource, because the thing is that I exposed to you guys how we got into this mess to begin with. Okay, it's important because everything we're dealing with now are just the symptoms of the system. So if your listeners are really interested in breaking out of the system and understanding what the matrix looks like and how it was constructed, they have to get Generation Sick, because it's a three-pronged attack. It's power, politics, and propaganda. The book sheds light on all three aspects of the triangle, so to speak. Once your readers understand how this system came to be, what the agenda is, and what our role is, and how they see us in it, at that point, they can really set precedents moving forward, a game plan to break out. And, that's up to the individual. Because, again, they have to be able to, to find their own way out. Socrates said, I can't teach anybody anything. I can only make them think. And that's the purpose of the book. So that's your number one resource when it comes to health, because you have to understand how we got here.
That's
and if
right.
you don't, you can't get out.
That's right. So it kind of lays the foundation for which, there's plenty of information and resources out there, because people are going to say, well, what do I do? That information's also out there, but your book points out more why, the why behind the what. Yeah.
Well, that's true, because you can't put the cart before the horse. Because again, even in my book, I do share with you what I did. Okay. I share with you what I did in my personal journey or my lifestyle for health and well-being. I mean, look, like I mentioned earlier, we're all part of Generation Sick. We all have health issues. We all have health challenges, may it be physical, chemical, mental, or whatever. But it's not what happens to you. It's how you overcome it. So I share with you a little bit in there what I did. Again, you're different than I am. Okay. So what you choose and what you need to nurture nature in your own life may be a little bit different. Okay. But, I thought it was important to share a little bit about what I did. And modalities that I used and I still use that help me nurture nature and have my pendulum in life swing a little closer to the green than to the red. But again, everybody's different. And, you have to know how we got here, and then you have to surround yourself with people and different disciplines and modalities that can help you get from A to B. May it be chiropractic, may it be nutrition, may it be, acupuncture, yoga, or whatever. That's up to you as an individual.
That's right. That's awesome. I love this conversation, man. So
it's their responsibility. Again, end game is Todd, is we got to get your listeners to ultimately be responsible for their own health, their health, and more importantly, the health of their children. Because as adults, we make choices. Kids are a victim of circumstance. Mom and dad make choices for them. If they choose properly, guess what? Kids are healthy. If they choose improperly, or things that offend, or a modality that offends nature and offends natural law, unfortunately, kids are sicker. And guess what? They have to be, because if it's not, like anything else, if it's not supportive, it's destructive. So that's the way I see it. And ultimately, that's the end game with I'm sure, even with this podcast and all the things that you and I are doing as far as reaching out to, to as many people that would like to listen. So
absolutely.
It's all about them. It's not about us.
Thank you, Vic. Thank you so much. And so we can get your book at Amazon.com, Generation Sick. And if folks just want to contact you, how can they do that? Or maybe they just want to ask you a question. Do you have an email or a website where they can get a hold of you?
Listen, best way to get me in a public setting is to go on Facebook. We have a Generation Sick page. All right, so like the page, you can always ask questions that way. That's a page that I monitor myself personally, and I found that to be the best way to communicate with the public, not only locally but globally. So go to Generation Sick page in Facebook. They can ask me any kind of questions they want, and just go to Amazon.com and order the book. And not only for yourself, but also, I've been telling people, give the book as a gift. All right, to somebody you love.
It is a gift.
All right,
it is a gift.
Because the bottom line is they may not be ready now for that information, but the thing is you plant that seed and say, hey, look, when you're ready, read the book. So also give it a gift and understand how powerful, that type of giving is as well, because, knowledge is potential power, and, it takes on many forms.
It is. It's a great book. So listeners, Please do yourself a favor and your family and friends a favor. Get a couple copies of the book, one for yourself, one to give away. I think that once you read it, you can only go forward in a positive direction for sure. And folks, you can find links to the resources and everything we've been chatting about today with Dr. Vic Naumov, and by going to therenegadefamily.com. Vic, I have truly enjoyed speaking with you today. Love to hang out with you next time I'm on the East Coast of the States. You've certainly inspired me with your wisdom and experience, and I'm sure our listeners today have taken away heaps of value. And if nothing else, your contribution would be challenging them and rubbing them a little bit more and more. Renegade, man, we got to go renegade.
Hey, listen, you know what? Likewise, Todd here. Thanks for reaching out and giving me an opportunity to be able to share my information. And absolutely, listen, when you're in Jersey and you're on the East Coast here, listen, please make sure you hit me up. We'll have to connect and talk a little bit more. And again, like I said, thanks for the opportunity. And listen, don't be a stranger. Keep doing great things. And together, I know that we will restore the power to the people. And that's what it's all about.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Vic. I was just going to ask for if you had any closing words, but I think that hit the nail on the head. Power of the people.
That's it. That's the purpose. We've always been told to share our purpose. And my purpose with everything I've ever done in my life was to help restore the power to the people, because it's not about me. It's about the legacy over and beyond what I'm doing and what you and I are doing. It's about the next generation. The simple fact that you and I are living in Generation 6 doesn't necessarily mean that our kids have to.
Beautiful.
And that's my hope, and that's my purpose. And the only way that we will be able to do that is if we restore the power to the people and let them understand that they are ultimately responsible for their own health and well-being. So that's what it's all about. Thank you, my friend. And listen, I look forward to hearing from you real soon and connecting again.
All right. Thank you, Vic. And thank you so much, listeners, for tuning in today. And have a blessed day, everybody. And we'll catch you on the next episode of Renegade Radio.
I love you, Daddy.
We're counting on you.
My mom is a renegade.
Thanks for tuning in to Renegade Radio. If you haven't yet done so, please subscribe to us on iTunes and leave us a rating and review. Also, like us on Facebook at facebook.com/TRFTribe. Please email us your questions for FAQ Friday, and we'll do our best to answer them in a future show. Simply email us at faq@therenegadefamily.com. If you got value from this episode and know someone else that would benefit from it as well, please share it with them.
Changing the world is going to start in your house. This is Dr. Todd, and from my family to yours, we wish you all the best. God bless, and we'll catch you soon.
Renegades, man up!